Yeah, I was thinking. I think we're basically in the fourth cycle of scammers. So the Raoul Paul and Mike Novogratz and a few others are kind of at the center of this latest wave of bubble and scams that have come into so-called crypto space. And and as Greg has pointed out, the asset class that is Bitcoin is kind of shrugging it off, and it's not really having an impact on Bitcoin at all, really. Like it used to. Um, in days gone by, some of these major scams, like OneCoin, was from a few years ago, and others. They had more of an impact on the price of Bitcoin. And what boils my blood is that rejects from Wall Street, like Mike Novogratz, who was kind of a hedge fund reject. He fucked up his hedge fund. He walked away from the industry for a couple of years and saw an opportunity to recreate all the scammy shit he was doing on Wall Street in crypto. Or Raoul Powell is another Wall Street reject. I guess he wasn't given a partnership option. So he kind of went away and crawled into a cave for a while and saw an opportunity come into Bitcoin. Bitcoin is both the greatest and the worst industry in the world. It's this dynamic that we call price discovery. It's, the price is reflective of the fact that you've got the smartest and greatest and noblest people in the world working on Bitcoin. You've also got the shittiest, worst, morally bankrupt scumbags in the industry as well. When you put them all together, you get a current price, which is whatever it is right now. Yeah, well, the guy Don Ho, or is it Do Kwon or Do Kwon? He had been involved in several scams before this one, and so this was just the latest in a series of scams, and it was designed as a scam. It's similar to BitConnect in its design as a scam, and it blew up like a scam. The people who, like again, Mike Novogratz, who didn't do any due diligence, is irresponsible. It goes beyond just being sloppy. I think it's bordering on the criminal. That he didn't do a shred of due diligence on this very obvious scam. I mean, Corey, of course, was tweeting about it before it blew up and saying, this thing is built to blow up. It's going to blow up, and it blew up. Same thing now with Celsius. Celsius, the more you dig into it, the more it's an obvious scam, and it's in the process of melting down. That's going to be another huge washout in the crypto space. But all these cryptos are going to get blown out of the water. They're all technically securities anyway. The SEC is dragging their feet. Bitcoin is so beautiful that it will push out these crooks, these charlatans, these captured regulators. And, there's no point in trying to sugarcoat it. These guys are recidivist criminal scumbags, and they deserve to be in prison. The fact that they're not in prison is a shame, really. It shows that the justice system in America is broken down, but I think that's pretty obvious across the spectrum. We see this all the time, and we're seeing it right now. There's the Crisis Part 2 from 2008, and everyone who's on Wall Street and is a banker is getting bailed out, and everyone else is suffering from inflation, and everyone else is suffering from price distortions and social unrest. Again, it goes back to this idea of moral hazard, which is, again, the wiggle room. When the central bankers and Al Greenspan and others, or Ben Bernanke or Jay Powell says, we have the right to engage in moral hazard. We have the right to bypass ethics, morality, and the legal system to protect the functioning of these markets and to protect the liquidity of these markets. And what that's done is created an economy and a society based on fraud. So there's very little now in America that's not tied to Wall Street and therefore tied to fraud. The medical industry is now entirely fraudulent because it's been commodified and securitized. All of banking, obviously, has been securitized and runs on a business model of fraud. The agricultural industry, the industrial industries, all of the sectors of the economy are tied to some degree to their cash desk, where they squeeze out extra profits, engaging in fraud. It's just fraud. And as the dollar loses world reserve currency, Brady, the problem is that other countries are saying, you know what, maybe we don't need America. There's no coming back. The inflation we see now is not going to reverse. Gas is going at 10, 11, $12 a gallon, and it's not going down. Prices of food are going to go up on a permanent basis because the entire globalization of post-World War II is becoming unglued, and the dollar as world reserve currency is losing its cachet. And this is a new reality for America, really, since post-World War II, where the standard of life is going to drop quite significantly because of all these bailouts. The chickens have finally come home to roost. We are now in a new era, which is a multi-year, secular, inflationary, commodity-driven global economy where money printing and the central banks become increasingly more powerless. Gold has a problem with price discovery, we've discussed before. Bitcoin, the price is off its highs, but I think of it like this. When it was at 70,000 a coin, it was telegraphing the hyperinflation to come. Markets are discounting mechanisms. Now that we have a big burst of inflation, it makes sense for Bitcoin to pull back and retrace some of the gains and build a new base and then catapult up to 200,000-300,000 a coin as the world starts to figure out that there's very few places to hide. As a matter of fact, I would say the only place to hide is Bitcoin. So if they try to take rates anywhere higher, you're going to have massive default at the central bank. The central bank is going to need a bailout. So in 2008, Federal Reserve bailed out Wall Street. They swapped all their bad debts for fresh treasury bills, and they put all that bad debt on the books of the Fed. Now all that bad debt is worth 0 cents on the dollar, and nobody wants to buy U.S. Debt anymore. The U.S. Treasury bond is being vomited from the reserves of countries all over the world. Nobody wants to buy U.S. debt. It's no good. It'd be stupid to buy U.S. debt. China's getting rid of their debt. Russia's gotten rid of all their debt. Japan is a huge basket case. Japan is actually the linchpin that holds together this whole global Ponzi scheme because they always had the lowest rates, and you could always do that carry trade of borrowing in Japan and putting your money into some other currency and making a positive spread and then leveraging it up 20 times, and you've got this great carry trade. But that looks like that's also blowing up. So, I understand yield curve management. I understand that they can try to bring rates to a higher level, and I can understand, but that presumes that the game has another chapter to it. I don't think there is another chapter to it. I think the Fed goes bankrupt. Well, probably in part because the hedge fund people that are in crypto, like, not to pick on Novogratz too much, but nevertheless, he is the highest profile hedge fund guy in the crypto space. He lives for gamma, right? He never puts this pitch forward because it's so easy to make money shilling shitcoins. You see, if there was some law that applied, some serious enforcement of the current law, they don't need any new laws. All that Gary Gensler has to do is enforce the current laws, and Novogratz would be forced to actually start working for a living and not just shilling crap. And he'd have to look at this trade as Greg has outlined it, and put the power of his fund and his colleagues focused on this. That's another benefit. I think that's another reason why Gary Gensler is completely a captured and unreliable regulator, because he realizes that if he took away the punch bowl of having these guys print money in the shitty way that's completely illegal, they might focus on Bitcoin more, and that would hurt his paymasters down there on Wall Street.